Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna set up TikTok too. We'll see how this goes. Okay, so I have never done TikTok live before, and I haven't gone live on here in a really long time. But I want to go. Give me one sec. I can hear myself, which is not good. Okay, so I haven't done this in a while, but I want to start doing it again. And I want to do my first impressions of Negative Lab Pro 3, because I've had, honestly, just some issues trying to convert stuff in the past. I often found that I needed to like batch things together in like strings of images that made sense to me, and it just was more time consuming and more tedious, and so I'm kind of hoping that this is a little bit more color accurate, but we're gonna see. I'm trying to think of where I want to start. I've edited these photos with the last version of Negative Lab Pro, but oh, I should also just check and see this. Hello, I am here. And so I edited these photos before with the last version of Negative Lab Pro, but I wasn't like super in love. Let me actually get this guy going first. So they always say to white balance on there. Give me one sec. I need to rotate some of these guys. Where are you? So they always say to do this first, and then crop it in. So I've white balanced on my negative here. It looks like I've got either some dust spots on my film or possibly on my DSLR that I'm scanning with, but that's okay. And then, all right, here we go. So I did just get this, so I have not used this yet. And on top of that, I'm looking at TikTok Live. Don't hate me. Okay. So anyway, just got this on top of having never used this new interface before, so you guys are gonna get to watch me fumble through that. I don't even know if my like previous workflow is the same. And I'm not gonna lie, in my last Negative Lab Pro or like film inversion in general workflow, you know, they would always say to white balance on the film border. I'm not gonna lie, I did that when it felt right. So here we go. So first off, it looks like there's new preset options in here. If you've used this before, if you're familiar with this interface is a little bit different. Honestly, as somebody who has 2 pets, I have a cat and a dog, I have somehow figured out how to do it. You're probably not supposed to use this, but I just, across the top, I'll spray. I'll do air this way. I know there's chemicals in here. I know there are probably people that would tell me I'm doing it wrong by doing that, but by doing DSLR scanning and doing it that way, I found that I actually get to avoid dust, and I also somehow get to avoid more of it than if I were to flatbed scan. But that's just what I've been doing. I don't know. Okay, so let's see. What's funny is right off the bat, the tonality of this new version per se is it's already just feels more on point. Like before, I wish that I could pull up an old catalog and compare these side by side, and maybe I will. But that's pretty wild. All right. Let's see. I'm not gonna lie, I usually would stay in linear in the past, Well, let's kind of go through some of these things. The other thing that I found for me personally in the last version of this is that like the Kodak profile didn't feel natural, and this actually feels pretty on point. You know, I'm not even gonna lie, sometimes I would rotate, like let's just say I shot Fuji, like I would rotate between these two and didn't feel like there was much of a difference, but now I actually see this here. So this is really exciting. And this is exciting to me because I used to struggle with like really making sure that my scans were as color accurate across the entire roll as possible. And now I feel like I don't have to do that as much. I'm checking TikTok again, don't mind me. So anywho, let's see where we go with this now. So this looks like a very different image. I'm actually gonna apply this really quickly because I want to go to a photo that I've posted online before. Let me see if I can find it really quick on my computer. Give me one sec. I'm gonna laugh really hard if I lost it somehow. Okay, so let me get this pulled up because I think this is going to be interesting. Where did it go? There we are. So this is a photo that I posted online before, and these are some shots in a different look that I did at the very end of this shoot. So I'm going to go find this, but this is pretty on point for how the color pulled in for this shot and this whole look. I maybe desaturated it a little bit, but this is still about where it lived. And I'm kind of curious to see if the tones are more like this now. Unfortunately, I feel like this isn't quite doing it justice as far as my live stream goes. Like, I feel like I'm seeing this on my screen a lot more vividly, but nevertheless, give me one sec. Let's see where we end up. This was 53. And I got some motion blur, like in this image. Just end of the day, it was like super hardcore dusk at this point, and I really kind of loved how that felt in here. So don't mind me when you look at this, or if you go look at it later, you're gonna be like, "This isn't tack sharp." It's because I didn't have light, and I like it. All right, so you know, we're following the steps as they say, you know, cropping, getting that white balance from the border. Something I found as a side note with the old version, which maybe I can test this on a different image in a second, is that if I didn't crop this, it would kind of determine what the color space should be based off of this entire thing versus just this image. And you know, I don't know how this software is written, but it does output, or at least it used to output, completely different tones based on how you cropped it. So I'm definitely going to make sure I do that. And then I wonder if these are actually going to make it a whole lot of a difference this time around too, but we'll start with basic for now. Checking to see if I've missed any comments. So right off the bat, this is definitely more, how do I even describe this, more in like the oranger spectrum than how this converted. And I don't know if you can see that here. Let me see if I can pull this in. Whoop. On for TikTok too. So like to the left is the new conversion and to the right is what I had last time. Don't mind my cat, by the way. So that's really interesting to me. It makes me wonder what that's all about. But I'm also going to play with this because I'm sure I tinkered with this a little bit. I am definitely not, I have to own my truth. I am not a girl that doesn't edit her film photos. I will edit and play with everything I can myself. So yeah, I actually really think that this might just be bringing in a completely different color space, but also let's bring this down to Kodak. Yeah, that's pretty wild. I'm curious to see how this handles editing like a whole string of images at once, because that was something else too, is that I found that for me, I needed to go and edit like photo by photo by photo in order to be able to match them, and then I would have to set variants, well, I shouldn't say variants, but like compare them to get the color the same, and it was just so tedious, but I'm hoping that that goes away here. Alright, so let's see. There's also, I have to remember that the photo that I just pulled up is definitely way more on the contrasty side, and I don't remember if I did anything for that or not. Let's see. Okay, so this is this. I want to see how these colors just pull in. I'm going through all these different modes now. And let's see here. Definitely not that. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to Kodak, just because that's what I shot this on. First impressions right off the bat for sure are just gonna be that I'm assuming that if I were to get a lab scan, it would probably feel more like this than the image I went for last time. What is really interesting to me is how I have this, you know, kind of pinky blue tonality in the sky in my old edit, whereas that's totally gone. It does not exist in this one. Have no idea what that's all about, but let's see if I can maybe like play around with some stuff. HSL, okay. I'm gonna play around with this too, because this is like the scanning presets. None. Interesting. Something else I'm finding interesting about version 3 right now is that before, when I would tinker with these, I always just kind of found that sticking with the natural tone was the best move, because these just got more and more like heavier contrast, and I already inherently lean into contrast in my work. Who knows what my thought process is, though? LOL. I'm streaming on TikTok and YouTube, so someone on TikTok that I know was mentioning my process, and we're still figuring that out, you know? But I'm hoping that this program makes me feel less overwhelmed by doing film, because I'm definitely the type of person that wants to take control of where things go. You know, even right now, I'm looking into learning how to do handprints, just because I like to be able to communicate if someone else does it for me, where I want things to push and pull. And then on top of that, I also just want to know what I'm talking about when I'm communicating to a full team or a post team for something. So I don't know, we'll see. But anywho, okay, I think I'm gonna stick with this. What's kind of a bummer is that I really do love this like pinky blue sky, and this tonality in here I think is really awesome. So I'm gonna see if I can bring that back. No promises, but we're gonna try. Okay, let's see. So what did I do here? Interesting. So like, nope. So that's just how the highlight point must have picked up in my original scan, which kind of makes me sad. Let's see if I can bring it in here. I don't know. I don't have faith that this is gonna come in the same way. And I feel like I'm gonna start tinkering with this and ruin it. Yeah, see, because it's just impacting like the overall highlights as I play around with the highlight in here. Whereas with this shot, these are still two separate tones. Like the blues are blue and the pink sky is pink. So that's definitely a change and a bit of a bummer. But okay, I'm gonna zero this stuff out. Instead of wishing that I was wishing that I had what this was before, I'm gonna just apply this for now and let it live. I kind of want to see how it handles like multiple images. Just because that was something, sorry I didn't even rotate these before I started, you guys. But anywho, that was something that really bothered me before, was that if I batched them, it didn't really matter, and then it didn't feel like it was easy for me to go back and like color correct them. Alright, I am going to, for the sake, you know what, let's actually do this first. Before I do a batch of multiple, let's just tinker with how this picks up a conversion without cropping in, because that was something that I definitely think made a difference before. Yeah, see, because it has the film border and the periphery of, you know, my light source here, it's coming in like super hazy, and I guarantee you that's not how it's going to come in when I crop it. So we're going to just cancel that. And also for like the test of this, I want to see, and that also might be why the tones in this one came in differently, is I don't think that I white balanced it. So maybe I'll come back and play with that a little bit. But let's see what happens if I don't, you know, air quotes, white balance the border over here. Still feels somehow pretty similar to the one that I just converted, which is kind of wild because I didn't white balance that at all. But I'm not going to convert that because unconverting things, at least in the past version, was a little bit annoying for me, and I want to do a little test on converting multiple. So we'll do this what they determine or what they suggest is the proper way. So I'm going to go in, do my white balance, and crop these guys. And I'm going to kind of crop them to where I want the shots to be. Maybe this is just me speculating, maybe this is me assuming that something is happening that's not actually happening, but because an uncropped conversion has that haze and it has that difference in color, I've sometimes felt that even the difference in the background or how much background I include can impact the color, because whatever the script or software does, it's kind of analyzing the global image and then determining something from there. I'm sure that whoever wrote this has studied film like a madman, and I mean that in a good way. Just because I have not. And I will also continue to own the fact that I am not somebody who is joint to the hip at making my film be like true to the tones of whatever that color film is. For me, film and just photography and art in general is all about doing what feels right, and so that's what I do. Okay. We'll do these three since they're kind of like similar images. And so that should at least help me kind of get a baseline to determine whether or not converting the three of these, which are probably pretty similar, will come out. Because that was something else I learned in the last version, is that if I found, a string of images that were shot in the same lighting conditions and the same kind of value of light, and converted them or batched them, that usually tended to work. But that wasn't always the case if I picked like this image and an image from earlier in the day, which we can probably do that next and just like see. Because I'd be really curious to know if with this new version I can do that now. And I don't know if that's because the software previously analyzed this image and then like an image in a different, lighting environment and then kind of blended together what it thinks it should be. I have no idea. Okay, with the white balance correction, still doesn't look too far off from what I had before. I think somebody just texted me. Sorry, guys. Okay, so let's see. I feel like I still want things to kind of live similarly to this if I'm gonna redo this, but I also feel like there's this part of me that just needs to let my old feelings go away. I don't know. I'm also not gonna lie, I'm sure there are people that come into this program and inherently know that they're gonna use like linear and do all these specific things. I like to go through them all and then decide what I feel like is best based on the image and based off of, how I shot it, where I shot it, what the color is, etc. Just because, let's just say I shot some really flat lighting and I want to put a little bit of contrast in there, I might go in and choose one of these profiles that does that, whereas something that maybe inherently has more contrast or is a more dramatic setting, I probably don't want to push more contrast in that. So that's just me. Okay, I'm gonna actually start from the bottom. Usually, I'm not gonna lie, I tend to end up with one of those, but we'll see. I aspire to be one of those like film shooters that shoots like really flat, beautifully vivid photography, but I'll never get there. That'll never be me. I'll never be able to do it. As soon as I start editing stuff like that, I'm immediately upset with myself. And then, I don't know, maybe one day I'll be able to change my eye. Okay. I think I'll live here. I'm gonna play with color again. Auto mix is actually a new white balance setting, and I'm not sure if that comes in if I'm editing multiple images or not. I don't remember seeing that earlier, but I also wasn't hyper fixated on that. Interesting. So these are Kodak, and this is what they look like in Kodak, and this does feel, even though this is not as far into dusk as my other photos, this does still feel pretty similar to this other image that I did. I have not done any digging into what this does yet. Oh, that's interesting. I can go back to the old versions. I used to play around with these two if it made sense to, but right now what's kind of funny is I don't know if I see, there we go. I was gonna say I didn't know if I see any differences, but I do. There's definitely some changes in here. Shadow weighted. Let's see what highlight weighted gives me. Ooh, highlight weighted starts to bring back possibly some of this pinky tone in here. I should play around with this on the other one for sure. Okay. For the sake of my test, I'm gonna apply these right now. Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm the only person who ever ran into this problem, but what used to happen to me is that I would convert these 3 images, right? And then, let's just say I wanted to make specific adjustments to this one versus this one, because like even right here you can see that this has less contrast than the other. So like, let's just say I wanted to make this match. If I did this and reopened Negative Lab Pro, it would want me to reconvert. So the fact that that's not happening anymore is pretty cool. I wonder if maybe, hold on. What did I do here? Oh, I did Kodak. Okay, so Kodak, linear. I think I left everything else the same, right? And I think I put the advanced stuff back. So the fact that I can go in and do this now is actually pretty awesome. Alright, let's see how these guys turn out. What's funny is in this second conversion, and mind you, I'm sure that you can tell here, I took these photos like one right after the other, and I was doing some duplicates this day because we were shooting towards dusk, it was getting dark out, and if I felt like there was a moment that I wanted to go in for and I possibly lost a grip on the camera, you know, I wanted to make sure that I had one that I took a deep breath and like really honed in on my focus on. So I've got a couple of these, and it's interesting to me, and I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but there's definitely more of that, you know, cotton candy sky in here than this one. And I can at least see this on my screen. So it's very interesting. Okay. What I think I want to do now, let's see. I gotta flip some more around as I continue playing. So I'm gonna do this guy. We'll mark this blue or yellow, or blue is 9. So we'll do this guy. We'll do, I wonder if I should reset this one just so I can see it again for this example. We'll do this guy. We'll do this guy. Wow, I'm on a roll. I can't flag those the same color. And we'll do this guy. And I'm gonna, you know, put these into their own collection here so I can just see them. Because I gotta rotate everything. I'm sure there's somebody who has faster processes and workflows for some of this stuff than I do, but oh well. Okay, so we're gonna, I don't know why I said this is a reference photo, it doesn't even make any sense. Okay, we're gonna turn that off. Why? Story of my life, not making any sense over here. Okay. I think that for some reason I thought that I could edit multiples of them by seeing them on screen, like capture one, and you can't, I don't think you can do that in Lightroom. I only come into Lightroom for really specific things anymore. It's a whole different side note. I'm definitely a capture one girly at heart. but I will come in here for this and for like quickly editing events and stuff, just because I don't need as many tools to do that kind of work. I haven't done an event in a long time. Okay, so technically maybe I might want to add one more from a second look at the end of the day, but I'm kind of hoping that because I spaced these out, that they have different light or like values of light. You know, standing, sitting is going to be a thing. I'm hoping that the sun also moved. Okay, so we've got these guys. And now I'm going to batch edit these again. And let's see how it comes out. I'm not going to play around with anything in here for right now, just because I want to see how different the tones are, exposure, etc. Alright, so let's see what we got here. This definitely has this a really similar tonality to, minus the sky, still figuring that out, but this was more towards the beginning of the day, so it wouldn't probably have the cotton candy sky quite yet. But this definitely has more of the like blues and purples that this does, so that's really interesting. Whereas this does not at all. And this just feels really bright. So I'm gonna reset. I'm gonna unconvert this guy to start and see how I feel about it if I convert it on its own. Especially since I feel like there's some detail in the sky in these. I don't tend to shoot over, but maybe I slipped. I hate when that happens though. Sometimes I'll slip on a setting when I'm like running around. And I shot these on my Pentax 6.7. And we like hiked up a hill for this. It was like a whole thing. So I wouldn't be shocked if I was like frantically trying to make sure that we used the light that we had. Okay, so maybe I did just shoot this really bright. Something that does annoy me about this is that Command Z does not do me any justice in this platform or in this program. Okay, so there is some sky detail there. It just doesn't show up in the lab standard, which is interesting. Let me put it on Kodak and see if it gets those similar tones to before, and it definitely doesn't. And I'm definitely still, I don't want to say like a film newbie, but I'm definitely not a film expert. Like I have some friends that just know film like the back of their hand, and they know everything about why color film reacts the way that it does and how to get it to react the way that it should and all that stuff. So I also can't help but wonder if that's part of it for me. But it's interesting how I feel like the differences in these profiles down here are more noticeable on this image. I definitely think I'm going to watch a video on this, like whatever create a new roll is. Should I just see? Oh, interesting. I might try to see what that does in a second. So, for my amusement's sake, this does start to kind of get to a similar space like I had before. I wish that I could pull up my previous settings for this though. I don't actually know. Alright, so I'm going to apply that for now. Let that be. I tinkered with that on my own accord. This and this are definitely two very different values of light. I kind of want to see how this comes in if I convert it itself versus doing it with this like batched set here. And also for this, like on the fence about this. I kind of want to see what happens if I convert it without white balancing it too. But I don't actually know if I'm going to like that. In the past I did, which was interesting for me. And I might still like it more now. Because this, even though the fact that this feels like it's pretty heavy on the contrast with this specific tone profile, this already feels so much more like this, which is nice. And yeah, see, it's funny how like this is so harsh and like so contrasty. Thanks. It's a never-ending work in progress, you know. But anyway, this profile looks so crazy on this, whereas I feel like if I used this profile on something else, it would probably be totally fine. But definitely don't want harsh highlights in this one. It's funny how like this, to me, which I know that this profile makes things, can bring in some like really heavy tones. In this specific shot, I think I might be able to make that work into something. Alright, so we're gonna do this guy. What do we look like in Kodak? I imagine that's probably what this color space is supposed to look like, but she's not for me. That's a little bit too cold. Alright, we're gonna bring it back here. Maybe even let it live in this space. I already feel like I've forgotten what I was in before. I think I was literally in none or something adjacent to it, which is pretty funny. I'm sure that I probably tinkered with the highlights, midtones, and shadows in this stuff too. Just knowing me, that makes sense. I play with color a lot. I'm still trying to determine whether or not I should be playing with color all the time, but that's what I do. I can't help myself. I have no self-control. I definitely did not do that. Alright, let's see how crazy we can get this lab glow to go. Dang. That's pretty wild. And then this fade. This is how you know it's for real, guys. This is how you know it's film. We got the fade and we got the glow, you know? If you don't have the glow and if you don't have the fade, did you really even shoot film? Probably not. Probably shot something else. Like digital. Just kidding. Okay. I personally don't really think I'm gonna put that in there. I'm not a huge, how do you even word this? I'm not the type of person that's like, I'm gonna shoot film to make it look like film. I shoot medium format film and because medium format digital is crazy expensive, and I get really inspired by the tones that film brings. I've actually definitely struggled with color correcting digital to look like film in the past. Definitely not my forte at all, but maybe one day. I feel like I have friends that are pretty solid colorists. Also, now I'm like wiggling back and forth on this camera because I feel like, sorry, don't mind me, I feel like where I'm sitting versus where it's positioned to be are two different places. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'm gonna check TikTok really quick. I really wanted to simulcast this between TikTok and YouTube, but TikTok is not okay with that, I guess, which is kind of lame. Okay, so I'm gonna come back to this guy. We're gonna let this be. Alright, so this fella I love. We're gonna unconvert you. First I want to see what it looks like in Kodak. Oh, interesting. It didn't pump a bunch of like warm tones in here. So that's quite curious. But we're still gonna unconvert it. Because I really want to see. I love how I don't remember if I white balanced before I did this. Ruh-roh. Normally I just don't. So now I'm like, I don't remember what I did. Okay, we'll just leave it here for now. I'm not actually gonna make these part of the full set anyways. On its own, how does it pick up? Picks up the same. Let's see how it picks up if I don't select the white balance. I'm not very good at multitasking, like talking and physically doing a thing at the same time is not my forte, so I apologize for the bumps in my thoughts here. Alright, let's see how this turns out. Woo! Okay, so yeah, I definitely think that in my original conversions, I probably left it without correcting the white balance and just converted it as is. Because this is definitely feeling, not that, but that was definitely feeling pretty close to where I wanted to be before, which is kind of funny to think about. I like this kind of ethereal, creamy, surreal color. I don't think that when I converted this before that I got other images from the beginning and the end of the shoot to live in this color space as well as I currently am right now. So that is pretty cool. I'm thankful for that as it is. There's another set that I would like to pull up because I've actually really been struggling with these conversions and I would like to see if it handles it better than the previous version. Let me see. So these are some photos that I took a while ago and I've posted one of the looks already, but there's this other look that every single time I try to convert it, just nothing matches, not a single thing, and it's this look. And it's been very frustrating for me. And it's definitely more often than not turned into those moments where you just have to step away because you've spent so much time trying to get this stuff to look the same or like feel like it's a part of the same family. Like, I'm sorry, but what is this? This I don't hate. I'm cool with this, but how do we go from this to this to this to this to this? Am I wrong? I don't think I'm wrong. So it's kind of frustrating to have spent so much time trying to get these to live somewhere. And also the funnier thing is that with the last version, I don't actually even know which one of those it was even supposed to look like. I have no idea. Did that just not open? I have no idea if that's not opening or what's going on. It won't even let me do it. It's like, nope. It's like, no, you don't even get to convert these images. Okay. Should I make a new session? Catalog. Sorry, we're in Lightroom, not Capture One. Before I do this, this is like 25 through, and it doesn't matter. I'll just pull them in and figure it out. Not here though, we want this here. And so I wonder if this maybe inspires anybody to start doing their film conversions at home, because it was definitely a lot more tedious than it is now, or at least that's how it feels to me so far. There's still some wiggle room, I think. I definitely don't need this. Okay, we're just gonna import them all and see how this goes. Also, if my dog starts screaming, I have a puppy now, so I apologize if anybody hears a screaming puppy. I will probably have to end my live stream if there's a screaming puppy happening. Okay, so this is kind of hilarious. This pulled in as a conversion from the other Lightroom catalog, and I'm gonna laugh really hard if other photos do that too, because that will defeat the entire point of why I just did this. Okay. I'm gonna try to flip some of these super quick. Alyssa is an amazing both model and person, by the way. As a different side note that no one cares about, other than me, probably. Alright, let's see what we've got going on here. I'm sure I've got enough of these flipped, but I'll just kind of keep the ball rolling and get the rest of them done. Okay, I also have no idea what happened when I scanned this photo in, or if I did something, because I also developed these, or if I did something funky when I developed it. So if anyone has any thoughts they'd like to share on what this is, because it also just exists on this image. I think there must have been something in front of my camera. I have no idea. I must have redone this. Okay. I'm gonna let that go. Okay. So we're gonna follow all the rules. I'm gonna see if now when I convert this, it doesn't look totally crazy. And I think that if it looks, I'm just gonna go straight down to gamma and see if I can bring anything back. This definitely feels better. I definitely overexposed this shot a little bit, but the skin tones feel a lot truer. I don't even know if that makes sense, but that's how I'm gonna word that. Because before, that doesn't make sense, and I definitely didn't shoot it on Fuji. Or this. Huh, weird. Okay. Probably the last piece of the puzzle that needs to get figured out is definitely gonna be that. But on my other image, it's not, like, the tones aren't that great. So we're off to a good start. I wish I remembered what Well, images were my favorites. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked because I can't talk and type and function at the same time. It's my probably just like one of my worst skills. Okay. We're gonna call this like convert multiple maybe. And then I'm gonna bring a couple in here. I'll use the guy that I already started going with. And then I'm pretty sure there's one of these that I really liked, but I don't remember. I don't want that. Let's see. I hate that I can't even remember which ones were my favorites now that I'm looking at them inverted. We'll just pick a couple random ones. And if they are not my favorites, I apologize in advance. That could be nice, maybe, I don't know. Okay, so I'm gonna see if I can actually get some consistent negatives out of these. My first complaint about the last version is that, as I showed earlier in the other Lightroom catalog, I tried converting these together multiple times. I do understand that sometimes she stepped out of the sun and into the shade, and sometimes she stepped more into the sidewalk, so she was in a brighter, sunnier spot, but it was still an overcast day, so it wasn't like, you know, it wasn't like I was bringing her into like a harsh daylight situation and then back into, you know, a greenhouse or something, or a room with a skylight. Like, the color of these to me should be pretty similar. So the fact that they're not has been really confusing me and really playing with me, and also really preventing me from being able to do anything with these photos of her. And I've come back to them multiple times, still can't figure it out. Alright, here we go. Okay. Oh, I don't want to start on this. I think I want to see this guy. And maybe the color model and the saturation, I have not played with that. I wonder what role analysis will do. Let's see if that maybe helps my problem. I'm curious to see if that's like the solution. Yeah, see, no, they're all still really different. That's so frustrating. I'm gonna apply this for now. Because look. Like, even from this to this, I mean, I guess I did overexpose that, but like, why are they so different? This has been my biggest problem, and I can't figure it out, and it's not like I shot these in a different space where the difference in like color and contrast and tonality would make sense. However, let's see if I can I don't know what that does. I'm gonna have to figure that out. Let's see if I can at least maybe bring them back in somehow myself. We'll find out here. And so I will at least give it credit here that this does feel a little bit more on point for where I want to be. Alright, I like how this guy feels. I might even like let this live here. Alright, so I've got, you know, and for some reason I've done this where it says copy settings. It's never worked. Let's see if this works now. Alright. Cool. There's gotta be something that I'm doing wrong here. I'll never know. Okay, so I did, I think, shadow hard, question mark? I should have saved these settings. This is the other issue that I used to run into, is that I could never figure out what I was doing wrong with the copy and paste. I should probably also just reach out to them and ask, but I'm at 20 and 14 for my white balance, so I need to remember that. Okay. And then let's see what happens if I match these settings at least. This still doesn't feel quite right. And she's super blown out. Like all of these beiges just feel like the wrong color. But again, this doesn't really make any sense to me because I literally, in this shot, went from here to here. Like these are the same flowers. I'm sure that somebody who really knows this like the back of their hand would watch this and be like, wow, you are messing it up because X. But it's okay. I'm not gonna know if I don't try, right? Okay, let's see what happens if I just convert this guy. By hand. I love how I already forgot the settings for my white balance as well. Oops. Oopsie. I'll pull those up on the other image in a second. Okay. Whoa, we're like just real bright in here. This is definitely going to be a moment where I just totally, definitely messed that up. Alright, I'm not going to try to bring this back like this. This is going to be one of those moments where I betcha that I can find a profile to maybe get me there. Or maybe not. Maybe I need to stick with my theory here. But then here's the problem. Nope, that's not going to get me where I want to go. The exposure just ends up making it like it doesn't actually impact the raw. It just kind of like puts this haze over it, which is really annoying to me because if I were to tinker with this somewhere else, I almost wonder, maybe I should see what that does. Hold on. Like, can I do that? I have no idea. We're about to try this. So, because this is a little bit, so maybe I need to like bump it up since it's gonna invert, right? Okay, let's see what happens. That would be kind of cool if playing with my actual raw will help me kind of bring back that exposure. I don't know if it did or not. And then wasn't I like 20? I'm sure I was wrong here, but like let's see if I can get it kind of in the ballpark of where I wanted to go. What was I actually? Yeah, it was 2014. Wow, that was a really good guess. I did not know if that was going to be what it was. Okay, so things that don't make sense to me. Woo! Okay, so maybe this is how I'm gonna try to like faux color correct my shot. No. There's a blue haze over the whole thing. Oh, come on. I didn't mean to do that. Ooh, we're getting somewhere. So maybe that's what I need to do, is just like go in and kind of tinker with my exposure. And then if I'm like feeling par for the course, attempt to color correct based on that. But then I still have this kind of like bluey stuff going on in the highlights. Let's see, I'm gonna like bring this to these extremes here. Nope. See, then this didn't really like, maybe this is the range is gonna help me. Oh, it might kinda. Definitely maybe. Alright, let's just see what happens if I apply this. I don't think that these are quite there. But I'm definitely getting somewhere. I'm getting to a place that makes more sense. So something that I'm learning now is that if I play with this exposure slider on my raw, because that's something that I do like about DSLR scanning, is that I can, if I shot, in my opinion, again, I'm sure somebody's gonna tell me this is wrong, but I feel like if I shot close enough to the middle, but I'm a little bit under or I'm a little bit over, there's still always some detail hanging out in there that I can play with. So that gives me wiggle room here, maybe. So this makes me wonder, oh shit, I don't want this to update for 2 though. That is frustrating. Okay. Alright, so let's see if I play around with like the midtones. Oh. What? No way. I'm gonna go back to the highlights. This is starting to feel the most similar that I've ever had these two. And I think that there are things I can be thankful for with this. One of the first ones being that my batch editing is working, kind of. And I think that I figured out a way to be able to bring these in and actually make them work. So I would say overall there are still like a couple little things that are probably gonna continue to drive me a little bit bonkers. But, oh shoot, I definitely don't want that. Where was I? I think I was at 1. But I'm gonna give all this some time, and I'm gonna play around with it also on my own too. And the other thing that I have to say is that in general there are a lot, even more like expensive things that I could do for film conversions, and also B, a lot more, you know, approaches I could take that wouldn't be as accurate either. So all in all, I'm excited with the changes that they've made, and I'm really excited to see if this speeds up my conversion workflow. And I hope that this helps somebody else who possibly was running into some similar roadblocks as me. I'm not sure. Thanks for joining me.